Listen, I had never been to Austin, so I had no idea this city was more Portlandia than it was Woody or any other cowboys. While other places got birds, this city has bats hiding underneath bridges. We got served sushi alongside our barbecue. I almost ran over 5 hipsters on their scooters, but thanks to Squarespace, we went there for the thing that matters most, the South by Southwest Film Festival. We were able to catch 29 films while we were there in order to scope out the best of the best. Let me explain. Now I'm going to start off with my favorites. Peanut Butter Falcon. Now I know I'm late on my Sundance video along with a lot of other videos, but I'm telling you, 2019 is the year of the LaBeoufissance. I caught Honey Boy in Utah and that thing had floored me, and somehow this man found his way into an even better movie. It's the story of this dude named Zach who wants to be a wrestler, and after escaping his assisted living facility, he runs into Shia's character who doesn't limit him for having Down syndrome, but pushes him on one of the most heartfelt adventures of the year. Like, my eyes were like a waiter carrying water glasses filled to the brim, knowing that if I even so much as blinked, I would have been soaked by the end of it. So needless to say, I may need to watch it again, but so far, I think this is my #1 movie of the year. Breaking the rest down by genres, the comedies that absolutely killed it. Probably the most mixed one was Beach Bum, that I felt was like the Big Lebowski if he was snorting White Russians instead of drinking them. If you like Spring Breakers, you may love this story of a rich dude who acts like a bum, or you might just think it's alright. Alright. Stuber is Dave Bautista and Kumail Nanjiani pulling off the best Uber commercial possible as they try to take down a drug kingpin played by the new Jackie Chan of our generation, Don Iko Uwais. Yes God Yes is a semi-autobiographical tale starring Natalia Dyer of Stranger Things, learning how to entertain her. She learns how to masturbate. But it's also a hysterical movie taking place at a youth camp. The Art of Self-Defense is the comedy Jesse Eisenberg was built for. Like, this thing is a dry wine of a movie. If you remember that episode of SpongeBob where he learns karate and just keeps chopping everything in half, well, imagine that with our new Lex Luthor in the most deadpan comedy I'll probably see all year.
This is your belt. It is yours. It is sacred. There'll be a $15 charge to replace a lost belt.
Booksmart by Olivia Wilde is being called the official, unofficial female Superbad, since it's about these two geniuses who realize on the final day of high school that they didn't have to be completely book smart, since all of their friends were always partying and they got into the same schools. And while I agree that there are a lot of Superbad spiritual sequels coming out this year, this thing stands on its own. It's got its own language where the characters don't even explain jokes to you or even explain their catchphrases. They just leave it out there and wait for you to catch up. But it's also fleshing out these characters to feel like real people. In other words, when this movie comes out, film Twitter is going to hype the hell out of this one, and for good reason. But good boys. Good boys. Now, one of my favorites from Sundance was this movie called Big Time Adolescence. That's like the version of Superbad that follows a kid adjusting to high school. Superbad is then the version of Superbad where they're transitioning into college. This one is the middle school version of Superbad. Not only have I been quoting it nonstop and will probably continue to quote it till the end of the 2020 election, but this thing hits you with an out-of-nowhere gut punch at the end when you realize what specifically connects all these 3 or 4 movies and why they all feel Superbad-like, proving that they're not just great comedies, but some of the best movies of the year.
Oh my God, there's Molly in there.
Okay, who's Molly? Because she's not with us.
Jesus Christ.
Now, there's 2 shorts and a doc that stood out to me that I want to talk about. One was called Little Gray Bubbles, which is probably the most awkward position you can find yourself in. Pretty much this man and woman had built a bond around cameras, so when he dies and she pulls up to the funeral, things get a little weird because, no one knew about her, really. Romantic Comedy was this documentary that proves everyone making video essays on YouTube can make it into a feature film. And that's not to diss the movie, because it is a great breakdown. It's a great breakdown of the genre and how it's evolved and shaped our culture. I'm just also giving props to the creators on here on this side who are putting this exact amount of quality out for free. But to be honest, I kept looking at all the footage they used in this movie, and considering all the copyrights we get, I was like, man, it must have been a pain to get the rights to all of these in their edit. It must have been really frustrating, unless they didn't and somehow it falls under fair use. And in that case, if this played at a festival, yo, what the hell is up? Then there's Jock. I'm not even going to say anything about this movie. It's easily the best short film I saw at the festival. I don't want to spoil it, but know that I highly recommend it. Like at every indie festival, there's obviously going to be a lot of dramas. Run This Town was a pretty ambitious first feature covering the scandals going on in Detroit politics, and while it definitely felt like it was playing in times 2 speed, like, it's ambitious, there's a lot of stuff crammed in there, it did leave me curious to see what this director has in store and, you know, how Aladdin is going to be in his feature film, but above all, it left me questioning, why did they make Rob Ford look like Fat Bastard from Austin Powers? Adopt the Highway's ending is the only other movie that almost brought me to tears. Imagine a movie where you think everything is going to be depressing, like there's always those bits that happen where, oh no, it's another struggle, something bad is going to happen, oh, it's always going downwards. It's the complete opposite. Like, it feels like a sad movie, but every time you think something bad is going to happen, something optimistic happens. And this is the first feature by Logan Marshall Green, who some of you may know from Upgrade, others of you call him Tom Hardy 2.0. From now on, I'm putting respect on his 3 names. It's not a perfect movie, but I love that ending. St. Francis won one of the awards, and to me, it was like the version of Obvious Child that'll reach people who didn't want to see Obvious Child. It revolves around this woman who gets an abortion, and immediately after gets the babysitting job she had applied for, so she's still spending hours with a child. I really liked it because I know that this is a very iffy topic, but I think that this movie balanced it out well, so regardless of which side you're on, you'll still be able to watch it, enjoy it, and relate to it. The Garden Left Behind also won an award, and ooh, this story follows a trans woman in New York who's trying to build her life in America, while her grandma who raised her wants to go back to Mexico. Let me tell you, this movie does not feel like a movie. It comes off so authentic that it feels like the story somebody's telling you about someone they knew. Like, this movie was funded through eBay. They were gonna make this movie any way they could, and I'm glad they did because while it is choppy at some points in the first half, it builds up to this line that... Listen, there is a line at the end of this movie that is delivered so well that it got every message, emotion, and theme they wanted to get across tenfold. So for those who are very vocal on Twitter, only when it's negative, y'all better be positive about supporting these films when they come out because they need the support. I'm with you. Are you with you? Oh, and the last drama I saw, believe it or not, is it's a documentary deep dive on the origins of the contemporary Christian song known as Who Let the Dogs Out. Incredible. I was serious when I said that the Oscars better start recognizing more documentaries because these filmmakers aren't playing. Just this past Sundance, my favorite movie out of there was a documentary about a documentary within a documentary, and this one made my top 5 of South by because I had no idea this song had so much history. I had no idea all the secrets behind this song. Finally, we got the biggest genre of South by, which I would consider since the opening and closing films were both horror, and on top of that, they have an entire category solely dedicated to them, so we saw a lot. Porno was one of the first and one of the hardest to search up online without getting a virus, but it follows these super Christian kids who work at a movie theater who stumble upon a bunch of hidden porn in the building and a possible sex demon that's roaming the halls. It's interesting, but it definitely has the nastiest penis stitching scene of the year, so hey, there's that. There's these 2 other movies that also had great practical effects. Daniel Isn't Real follows a college kid whose imaginary friend, let's call him, comes back trying to control him. Girl on the Third Floor stars CM Punk in an HGTV show gone demonic. But what I'd say is look out for the face scene from Daniel and the marble scene from the Third Floor, and then live to regret it.
Who did you try to stop?
La Llorona.
It was okay. When the trailer came out, I was getting a mad amount of requests to talk about it, and luckily I was able to watch it early, and obviously I'll have full LMEs for most of these, but I'll say that this one it's in the middle of the Conjuring universe, you know? It's not as bad as Annabelle 1, it's not as great as Annabelle 2, but I will say the experience watching it was wilder. When we were going in, they were sanctifying people before we got in there. A shaman gave out these claws so you can wipe yourself with it and leave the evil spirits behind. Tuco started talking about the hauntings that happen on set, so I'm sure people will have fun with this one when it comes out, considering that nobody at my screening hated it except for the lady in the back who kept crying and saying, mis hijos. This is dark as hell. I'm not an Einstein when it comes to Stephen King, but I did grow up watching these bad boys right here on repeat. But this story is the most depressing family drama. I think the sound design is great in this movie. The whole family does a really great job as a cast. The little girl is fantastic. There's a particular scene with the mom that I thought was really good. I'm not saying that it's gonna be in the top 5 best horrors of the year, but definitely top 10, I would say. However, and this can't happen anymore. This movie made me sick and tired of hearing semi-trucks pass by. Why are you screaming?
I thought someone might attack. It seemed like... Don't you think that would have been perfect timing-wise?
So that was a speculative scream.
I really like this one. Pretty much you got a group of friends who are meeting in a cabin in the woods in honor of their friend who's passed away, and since they're each taking turns telling scary stories that weekend, it kind of makes it feel like a horror anthology series that then bleeds into a bigger one. My personal favorite was the sex demon story, specifically because of the final line that they say, but I think that each one does something unique.
Why don't we see ghosts every day? Most hauntings are so small, they go unnoticed.
Finally, there's Extraordinary, which wraps up this category mainly because it's a horror comedy. I've heard people call it Taika Waititi meets Yorgos Lanthimos. I personally thought it could have been a spin-off to Shaun of the Dead, but I think I loved it. It's weird because it feels like a parody film, kind of like the Scary Movie franchise, but the best parts of the Scary Movie franchise, but it still has its own voice. It's one of those where they hit you with a lot of dry jokes, so you either aren't noticing them, or the ones that are misses don't go the route of like an Adam Sandler joke, you know, where not only are the jokes misses, but they then drag it out to a point that you start hating it. They drag the jokes out here, but it's more so out of dedication to the bit, and it almost wins you over by the end. I'm curious to see how this is received, if the public overall loves it, or if it just becomes a cult classic, but I'm excited to see it again, along with a bunch of the other ones. So overall, if I had to pick my top 5 from the fest, it'd be these right here. I'll have LMEs coming out for all of them once they get released. You know, one day I'll post that Sundance recap to talk about my must-watches from there, but in the meantime, I'm gonna go eat some more brisket. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comments section. And a big thank you to Squarespace. I know a lot of you have reached out about going to film festivals, you know, how to cover them, and honestly, for those looking to build their portfolio, you have to have a website. We use Squarespace to backlog all of our videos and to be able to write articles, and since their templates are so simple, even a cartoon like myself can handle it. Having trouble at 3 in the morning trying to upload a review from a bar on 6th Street? Boom, 24/7 support. Trying to divorce the platform you have right now? Bam, easy domain transfers. Got product you gotta push? Simplest merch store on the market. So when you head over to squarespace.com/letmeexplain, you're gonna get 10% off when you sign up and be one step closer to watching movies for a living. Or yoga for a living. Welding. You can use it for anything. But for the film fans out there, we'll be hitting up Tribeca next. Then, of course, the Chicago Critics Fest. The Sundance video will also be up soon. I promise it'll be up at least before TIFF, but I'm curious to know what movies you're looking forward to, which ones I missed to keep on my radar. But until then, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll send you some Terry Blacks.